Hello and welcome to the Coaching Crowd podcast with me, Zoe Hawkins, and my friend and co-host Jo Wheatley.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast where we're exploring how to become an ADHD coach. The reason we're talking about this today is because we find ourselves being asked this question a lot. How do I become an ADHD coach? What do I need to do in order to call myself an ADHD coach? And as we're a training provider who offers both coaching training, accredited coaching training, and also accredited neurodivergent inclusive coaching training, we can talk through both lenses about our view and current understanding of the market and how the routes that you can take in order to achieve that.
Yeah, I think a good place to start is looking at the difference between being a coach who is working with somebody who has ADHD and being a coach who specializes in supporting somebody who has a diagnosis of ADHD and is looking for support related to their strengths and challenges as a result of having or being ADHD. And it's an interesting point of distinction because obviously that's going to direct you to not only who you are in the market and what you tell your clients you offer, but the depth of training that you're going to want to be able to support and serve those clients confidently and ethically in a way that is helpful for them. So I think that's just a useful place to start.
Yeah. And, through our lens, there are different levels of coaching training that anybody can do when they're thinking about certifying as a coach. So we have level 3, 5, and 7, and we know that people can find it confusing to know, do I need to do all of them? Do I need to do them all, all in order, doing 3, 5, and 7 first? And we know that we find it really difficult to fit in as broad a content as we possibly can into our level 7 coaching qualification. And so the reason that we have differentiated between coaching training and neurodivergent inclusive coaching training is because we want to do justice to both of these different specialities.
Yeah, and when it comes to specializing as an ADHD coach, often clients who have ADHD don't only have ADHD. So when you come to learn about neurodivergence, you understand that there are lots of co-occurring conditions. Like how people are diagnosed is through exhibiting behaviors and challenges in certain areas. There's no one clear definition of ADHD. It's like, what are the symptoms and experiences that you are having? And so people with ADHD may also be autistic. They may also be dyslexic. They may also be dyspraxic. They may also have OCD. So whilst it's not rare that you can come across one person who has ADHD and only ADHD, neurodivergence is so much more than just ADHD. And so that's also a point of consideration when you're thinking around how do I become an ADHD coach? It's just a question. Is that all that you want to offer? Is that the only direction that you want to take your coaching in? Because you can serve so many more people if you think about the broader representation in your neurodivergent clients.
Yeah, thinking about intersectionality and the other influences on an individual's identity, personality, and are you thinking about how you're going to get the level of training that's also going to support you to be able to support the other aspects of a person's identity? So we're not saying it's wrong to want to be an ADHD coach. Well, I think we would class it as a niche, and so our encouragement and the way that we approach things is wanting to get like the deepest level of understanding that we can around coaching and get the deepest level of understanding that we can around all aspects of inclusivity for clients. And you can choose to specialize in coaching, certain individuals or niches if that's where you feel driven, where you have most purpose to do that. It's important that you don't take shortcuts, I think, along the way. You'll see lots of courses out there that talk about train to be an ADHD coach, do that within 24 hours. In our view, no, that is not possible. It's really, really important to have the knowledge around coaching around neurodivergent conditions, and also around the strengths and support needs that are relevant to those particular conditions, and also always being aware that you are coaching an individual, a unique individual. And it's so important to take the time to be able to understand and learn about that individual. There are other things to consider around trauma, making sure that you are trauma informed in your coaching approach, particularly when it comes to coaching individuals who are whose identities mean that they are more exposed to or at risk of experiencing trauma because of the way that society is structured.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons I was talking there around like people with ADHD can have co-occurring conditions is this piece around identity. And as you said there, Jo, we are whole people. So when you specialize as an ADHD coach, and you may be thinking that where you want to coach is supporting people with the challenges related to ADHD, also bear in mind that as a whole person, not everything about that person is ADHD. They have relationships, they have careers, they have lives, they have lots of things happening in life. And in any one coaching conversation, there is so much more that comes into the room than just the strength or challenge related to a condition that somebody is working with. So when we talk about that broadest level of coaching, yes, ADHD coaching can help you to specialize, it can help you to niche, but it's not necessarily going to support you with the whole person approach. So I think what we're saying is go in with your eyes open when you're looking for training around how to become an ADHD coach. Our guidance is to so we would recommend doing an excellent coaching training as your foundational skill. So something like our level 7, and then niching into an area around, be it ADHD or with our program, neurodivergent inclusive coaching training, because that's going to give you the depth and breadth to be able to coach the whole person. Yes, on the strengths and challenges related to their diagnosis, or if they're self-diagnosed, and life, and all the things that are about the human experience that will come into that coaching space, the emotions that people bring, the experiences that are happening, the goals and aspirations and dreams and ambitions that are present. To be able to sit with a whole person is really where the power of coaching steps forward.
Mm-hmm. So it's also about taking time to get to know your clients, so the people that you want to be working with, and what is it that they would like you to have? What experience, what qualifications do they value? Because if I think about my son, who is neurodivergent, I don't think that he would want an ADHD coach or an autism coach. I think he would want to work with a coach who has an understanding and a compassion and a skill set around understanding the nuances of the way that he might engage in a coaching session, but would want to work on, as you said, Zoe, like all the things that we normally work on in coaching. So he'd want to have somebody who is an excellent coach. And I think it's also important that as individuals, we don't get caught up in the latest, most popular thing, and so, I'm going to become an ADHD coach because that's really in demand now. It's so important to have the skill set to be able to serve in an ethical way the clients that you work with. And there are lots of clients or people that want to have coaching who are not sure if they're neurodivergent or not. So or people that are partway through a diagnosis process. We know that there are long waiting lists for assessments for autism, for ADHD, and so on. And so if at what point in somebody's journey do you want to be supporting them? And that is going to help to inform your decisions around, where you begin or engage in your CPD around deepening your ability to support people at that particular point in their journey.
I think it's really important that your clients know that you are equipped to support them with the strengths and challenges related to their diagnosis. And that's where being an ADHD coach kind of comes in. It's very clear who you're supporting, how you're supporting them, who you're working with. And inevitably, if that is a part of who you are and how you experience the world, it's going to come in to the coaching space, regardless of the goal, as all aspects of our identity do in a coaching conversation. So we're saying, like, yes, niche, and remember that ADHD is not everything about a person, and to be able to support all aspects of what people want to bring to coaching, as well as doing justice to the strengths and challenges that are brought alongside a diagnosis.
Yeah. I think we can often be led by what we see on whichever social media platforms we're on, and as soon as somebody starts calling themselves something, then it sort of becomes something. And I think what people are struggling with at the moment is, so is this the same as like coaching, or is this different? Are there different accrediting bodies for it? Like, how ultimately is, how can I be seen as being a safe place for somebody to come and have coaching with? And so if we go back to the basics, it's look at making sure that you get accredited as a coach, because, and when I say accredited, look at the accrediting body, coaching bodies, because that tells people that you have met the professional standards, the ethical code of the particular coaching body that are respected globally. So that's your coaching part of it. Then when you look at the CPD, when by CPD we mean continued professional development, have you engaged in professional development that is specifically related to the challenges that your clients face? And have you done 2 hours or 40 hours or 80 hours? How deep have you gone in terms of that? And you might want to tell people what you've covered, how you can support them, what your knowledge is, because all coaches are different. And even coaches that have gone through the same training obviously integrate and embed and interpret that content in different ways. So it really comes back to how you describe the work that you do in your approach to coaching, the way you engage in relationships with others. What are the signals on your website, in the conversations that you have, that you are able to create an inclusive space, and you have an understanding of how to create that with people that have different needs to others? And yes, we all have different needs to others, but also there are some specifically different needs that people who are neurodivergent could have or might want to benefit from. And so that's, when you're looking at the courses or that you might do, have a think about, what do you know about your ideal client group and the ways in which they want to be supported? Do you feel confident in those areas yet? And if you don't, have a look at the course contents to make sure that the courses cover those topics and at a level that is genuinely going to support you to, in a practical way, to be able to develop the spaces that you offer. And I think in our, sorry, Zoe.
Let's say many ADHD coaches are drawn to want to serve the ADHD population because they have ADHD themselves, or they are ADHD themselves. And so I think that is a really interesting piece to consider around your training, because it's quite easy to think, well, I've had this journey, I've mastered some support for myself. My ADHD, I've managed to work with in such a way that I'm now thriving, and I've moved through struggle, and I'm in a good place, and now I want to extend that to others. And that's brilliant, because that lived experience often gives people trust and confidence in you. Like, the neurodivergent population often have a history of being misunderstood and feeling out of place. And so when you lead with your own lived experience, I think it can help people immediately feel like, they know what I'm going through, they know what I mean. And in coaching, that can be a point of watch out, because my lived experience can be very different to your lived experience, and we can make assumptions. Things like transference and parallel process, which you will learn about on a good program, will help you to appreciate what is happening between me and the coachee. Is my own experience coming in here and disrupting the way that I am supporting my client? And it's really useful to have that sort of helicopter view of being able to step out of the relationship and out of your own experience to be able to look at, am I still present with my coachee in the challenges, the needs, the strengths, the desires, the ambitions that they have, or am I projecting some of my own experience onto my client, whilst also respecting the fact that many neurodivergent people connect by sharing experiences. So it's a really intricate, subtle, sophisticated coaching relationship that you are creating with your clients there. And that does demand a high level of training, of understanding of neurodivergent conditions, understanding of yourself, and being able to apply that in a real coaching scenario. So it's not enough to have lived experience and a little bit of training. It's very important to skill yourself well when you want to serve people in the neurodivergent population.
I think that you make different sense of signals and interactions through a neurotypical lens as a coach than you do if you have knowledge of different neurodivergent conditions. So if you've got somebody that is looking around the room, you know, seeming to be distracted, doing something else whilst also engaging with you, you might interpret that as you know, the client's not very interested, not very committed. If you have an understanding of neurodivergence, you might think that's fantastic. If you have got somebody that answers in very short, direct answers through a neurotypical lens, you might think, oh, this person doesn't really want to be here. I wonder if we need to explore like the motivation for that. If you have an understanding of neurodivergence, you might have an appreciation that that is that person's style of communication, and it doesn't necessarily mean that at all. So, I mean, they're very quick, brief examples of how having, you know, a higher level of knowledge around different neurodivergent conditions can just alter the way that you are making sense of what's the interactions and the relationship that you're having together. So take time to research and really think about what is it that you want to achieve in training to become an ADHD coach. So if you already are a trained coach and you recognize that when you look back, you can see that actually probably quite a lot of your clients have been neurodivergent, and when you're really honest with yourself, you feel a bit like, oh, I don't really know, I think it's going okay with my coaching, maybe there are some other things that I ought to be considering, but I'm not sure what they are. Or even I think I'm doing okay, but my confidence is being eroded because I know that there's other training out there around this, so there probably is other things I should know. Then you could come and join our neurodivergent inclusive coaching program. It's accredited with the ICF with 40 CCEs. It's a very full in-depth program. It's a facilitated program. It's also available as a self-guided option. And we also have launched an ND Essentials, Neurodivergent Inclusive Coaching Essentials, which is dipping your toe in the water rather than diving into the whole thing, to explore the approach that we encourage people to take when coaching and supporting neurodivergent clients. And it'll give you a little bit of content really from all of the 20 lessons that are in the fuller program. And it is also accredited with ICF hours, but we know not everybody is sure sometimes, like, is it going to be for me? Is it the right fit? And so it can be a great start for you and a great indication to other people that you are making strides in developing your inclusive approach to coaching.
I think one other thing I would say, if you're at the beginning of your coaching journey and you want to serve the neurodivergent population, you feel really drawn to becoming an ADHD coach, I think let's celebrate you, because we need more coaches that are educated around neurodivergence. There are neurodivergent clients who are looking for the right support, the inclusive support, the empowering support to be able to help people to thrive. And ADHD isn't on the rise. It's always been there. It's just that more people are getting diagnosed. And I think it's brilliant that more coaches want to train to become an ADHD coach. And I'd also just to consider opening up that it's not just ADHD, because, you know, lots of neurodivergent conditions are being more and more recognized. And it's a field that continues to evolve and grow as we understand more about what it is to be neurodivergent, what it looks like, what the experience is like. So, we celebrate you. And if you're at the beginning of your journey, come and talk to us. Come and book a call. You can do that through our website, and we can explain how you can combine our foundational coaching, such as the level 5 or level 7, with the neurodivergent inclusive coaching essentials to hopefully get you what you need so that you're confident that you're coaching at an ethical and safe level to support the clients that you want to be able to.
Yeah, so if you're interested in dipping your toe in and learning more about neurodivergent inclusive coaching, you can visit our website, and that page is igcompany.com/ND essentials.